Good afternoon, everyone. Well, it's Friday, it's 5 o'clock, and I thought, well, I'll tell you a little story about what happened to me last weekend. And it was a disappointment, let me put it that way. So I was out at a cottage up in the Kawarthas, which is a cottage area a couple of hours from Toronto, for the long weekend. And I thought, okay, well, let's bring the little Texan and we'll have a chance to listen to some shortwave away from the city and away from the interference. And I'm sitting in the living room of the cottage thinking, oh, it's a good time. Let's poke around a little bit before bed. And the interference was terrible. So I start looking around and there's a Wi-Fi box that's with the cottage, and I don't really want to unplug that. And then there are a few other things. I unplugged my power supplies, but I'm really not, I really don't want to shut off the power to the whole place just for this purpose at that point. So I do what you do, and I put out the antenna on this, and I wandered and picked a spot in between two stations where I could listen to some noise. I think I was on the 49 meter band. And I started looking around, and I found the culprit. Now, if the culprit was something I could have unplugged, that's great, but it wasn't. So, what was it after all of this? It was something I couldn't just unplug, the thermostat. This thing produces a huge amount of RF interference, particularly in the 49 meter band, but all over the place. It's a disaster. I don't know if it has to do with the transmission protocol it's using. I think you can use wireless transceivers, sort of supplemental thermostats with it. Maybe that was what the problem is. I don't know. But this was terrible. And it kind of spoiled my attempts to have a nice shortwave listening evening, unless I wanted to go outside and get eaten by bugs, which I didn't really at that point. Anyhow, it just shows you that with the increasing use of these sorts of devices, even in places where you think that the noise floor is going to be pretty good, well, you can get surprised. I shouldn't have given up. I should have gone outside, and I probably would have had a pleasant evening of it. But at that point, I didn't really feel like it. But yeah, so there's the culprit. Anyway, so when you think about, the RF interference you might have around your house, I mean, the best thing you can do is get the antenna outside, of course. But even here in the city, even once you get outside of the big sort of noise problems that we have in the city, you still have to install something like that, and it's just wrecked. Anyhow, thanks for watching.